technology, but the brain demanding more from the body. More than what was done. More than what is thought possible.
So something that a lot of people may not necessarily know is that Nike actually didn't invent the air unit inside of the shoe. It was actually invented by this guy named Frank Rudy. He was an engineer that worked at NASA. So NASA during the Apollo mission created a bunch of different things. And one of the things that they created was this air unit that went inside of the helmets that the astronauts wore. Frank took that idea and implemented it inside of a shoe and brought that idea to Nike. He actually patented the idea in 1979. He showed the idea to Phil Knight liked it, actually took it on a test run, and they put it into their first shoe, which was the Nike Tailwind, I believe back in '79 as well. Hey guys, what's poppin'? Jock Slade here, and as most of you guys know, it's a very strange time in the world right now, but despite that, I wanted to create a little bit of quarantine content to keep you guys entertained. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. As most of you guys know, Air Max Day just passed, and that's the day that Nike has picked to celebrate Air Max, or the Air unit, in all of their shoes. And instead of actually just celebrating Nike in that way, I wanted to pick the shoes that have Air Max that I personally really like. I got a really strange pair in the mail that's a bit of a hybrid, and instead of just doing a regular unboxing, I thought, like, why not dig through my collection, pull out some of my favorite models, but also give you guys a little bit of history on the Air Max and the Air Max unit. So without further ado, I'll stop talking and let's get right into it.
And this is my world now.
When you talk about Air Max, there's only one shoe that you should really talk about that started things off, and that is this one. This is the Air Max 1. Yes, there were plenty of Nike shoes that had Air before the Air Max 1, but the Air Max 1 was the first shoe that actually showed the Air unit inside of the shoe and allowed us, the people, to actually see what the Air unit actually looked like. It was a game changer as far as the design goes, and big shout out to Tinker Hatfield. He is a design legend. You know him from Jordan, but he was also the guy that designed the Air Max 1. Now, this isn't the actual original Air Max 1. I have a couple pair of those, but the reason that I grabbed this one is because this is the Flyknit Ultra Air Max 1, which is a version of the shoe that Nike made back in 2016. Basically, it has a hollowed out midsole. As you can see the Air unit here, you see I've worn these a ton because they're super dirty, but then the upper is made all out of Flyknit. So basically it is a super light version of the Air Max 1, and as you can see, I wore these to death. They need to be clean. I really fell in love with these when it comes to Air Max. If there is a favorite Air Max in my collection right now that I will pull out of the closet just at a moment's notice, this is what I think about. Looking at the Air Max ladder, there is one Air Max that I will say is one of the shoes that actually helped me fall in love with sneakers, and that is the Air Max 95. Now, this is a new colorway, almost like kind of like a silver bullet Air Max 97 sort of colorway, but the original colorway, the black and the gray and the Volt, is the original, and that is the one that I will honestly say is one of the first shoes that just stopped me in my tracks when I saw it on a store shelf. Like, you know, one of those things where you're walking like in a mall or something, and out of nowhere or out the corner of your eye, you see something, you turn to look. That's what this shoe was for me, the Air Max 95. I don't know if it was the lines, if it was the Air Max units in the forefoot and the heel, or if it was the design of it, or if it was the colors of that Volt and the black and the gray, but there was something about it that just grabbed my attention, and it was one of those things where it was like, I have to have that shoe. I obviously wasn't able to get it back then, but it was one of the shoes where I was like, I need to have one of these, and it just blew my mind. I have a original pair in my collection somewhere. I couldn't find them. I looked in my storage unit and I didn't see them, but they're somewhere in there. I think this shoe could actually come out in 2020 and no one would know that this shoe was from 1995. I think it looks that futuristic. It has such a timeless design, and Sergio really took things to the next level when he put this together, and I'm really excited that he did, because it's one of the shoes that helped me fall in love with sneakers.
Careful, I'm a lion.
So a lot of people didn't realize this, but the actual air inside of the air units was actually toxic. And it wasn't like a big thing that Nike talked about a lot. And I thought that more people knew about it. But yeah, so in 2006, they switched from the gases that they were previously using to something that's more similar to the air that we breathe today that contains a lot of nitrogen. The actual gases, if you want to know, I don't know the exact names, but it's they were inflated with hexafluorethene, Freon 116, and sulfur hexafluoride, SF6, and both of those are actual harmful greenhouse gases in today's world where sustainability and taking care of the earth is a bigger impact and a bigger influence on the way that brands are creating things. You know, big kudos to Nike for taking the initiative in 2006 to switch that over and really, in a sense, help protect the planet. Okay, so for this one, a lot of people, I don't even think people are going to recognize this shoe, but it was a shoe that I personally really liked, and I played basketball in it a ton. That's one of the cool things about Air Max, that it works whether you're running or playing basketball or really whatever sport that you're playing. Well, except for track, maybe not track, but everything else, Air Max pretty much works. And Jordan Brand actually did a shoe called the Jordan Big Ups, and I've actually talked about this on my channel before, but I loved playing basketball in this shoe. So these were released back in 2011, I believe it was. It was either 2010 or 2011. As you see, they have a full-length air unit. It's not a signature shoe. It wasn't somebody's shoe in particular. It was just a shoe that I liked. I really appreciated the design of the shoe. They were really comfortable to play in from my perspective. They had the cool gray colorway. They had the little fake patent leather here at the toe. So they were kind of like an Air Jordan 11, but not really, because they had the Air Max unit. And I was really excited to play in these. These came and they went. They did a bunch of different colorways and people were just not into them, which kind of hurt my heart a little bit. So I held on to this pair, and every once in a while I'll break it out and go play basketball in it. And when I figured if I was going to talk about Air Max, I definitely needed to talk about this because I loved playing in this shoe.
All the bullets that we dodged.
So Air Max has had some weird versions and weird looks on the shoe, and one of the weird ones that I really liked, and again I thought people were going to be into but they weren't, is this one. This is the Air Max 270 ISPA. The thing that I love about this shoe is I feel like it looks a little bit like a hiking and outdoor shoe, but it has the big 270 Air Max unit there at the back. Feels good. I've worn them quite a few times. I've actually gone hiking. I've climbed mountains literally with these shoes on, and I've worn them just casually as a lifestyle shoe. It felt like an ACG version of an Air Max to me, and I think that is what attracted me to it and made me really want to grab a pair of these. They didn't do very well. They actually ended up at the outlets, which is where I got this pair. There was a black pair, there was a white pair as well. I thought it was hot, and that's why I picked up a pair. And I don't think you guys are gonna like these, but you could probably find these at an outlet if you looked hard enough, and they'll probably be like 60, 70 bucks. Mixing some of the old with the new. Something that I really like that Nike is doing is bringing back retro models as golf shoes. And one that they did that I did not expect to happen at all was this shoe, the Air Max 97 Golf. Now, I wasn't as big of a fan of the Air Max 97. I thought it was a cool shoe. I have pairs, but I just wasn't blown away by it. I mean, there's obviously some history behind it, and I respect the history, but it just wasn't a shoe that I was going crazy over. However, when I saw that they made a golf version of the shoe, and you see here it has the integrated traction on it, that is what really got me excited and really got me into the shoe. I would love to see golf get a little bit cooler, and I think that kind of starts with sneakers and the sneakers that people wear. And if they're wearing a pair of 97 sneakers at, say, a Masters or a Players or something like that, I think that's really cool and gives that community a bit of a leg up in the cool factor in my world. So when it comes to cool shoes, a golf version of an Air Max 97, that's pretty good in my book. Here's a fun fact about Air that I don't think a lot of people know, that it's never, as far as I know, it has never actually been proven to give you a performance benefit. That's not to say that it isn't more comfortable or that people like the way it feels, but as far as actually giving you a measurable performance benefit, that actually hasn't happened. And think about that. Air has been around since 1979 or 78 or 79 when the Tailwind came out. Some people would even argue that it makes your foot weaker. There was actually a study done where runners were actually preferring not to run in Air units, but instead run barefoot or run in minimal shoes because they thought the Air was making their foot weak, and there were more ankle injuries and more knee injuries as a result of having great cushioning. Now, that doesn't take away from the lifestyle aspect of Air Max, which I think has become bigger than the actual running side of Air Max, but just something interesting to note that there isn't any recordable or measurable performance benefit to wearing Air Max.
Spending money like I just got
So for this
paid.
shoe, I was close to not even showing the shoe just because I was really, really disappointed with the way that it came out when they retroed this sneaker. I remember seeing it when I was a little kid and I was really excited about it. And so I bought them as soon as they became available. But then when they arrived, I felt the quality and I was just super, super disappointed. And that shoe is this one, the Air Max 93. It has such a cool design. It's such a unique design that's really indicative of that time. It kind of reminds me of like Charles Barkley's Nike sneaker and like a Nike running shoe kind of put together. And I thought it was going to be really dope. And I bought these looking to wear these a lot. I actually bought 2 pair of these looking to wear these a lot. And then I got them in hand and the quality just wasn't up to par, and I was just really disappointed. The leather feels super plasticky and cheap, and I kept them and I wore them a couple times just because of the nostalgia factor and because I just thought this, and I still do think this is such a cool shoe, but I was really disappointed in the quality of these. So yeah, this is just one of my favorites, and I wanted to show it just because I love the design and how striking this design was, but at the same time, Nike really let me down when they retroed these.
Cash in before the house rules.
So this shoe is actually the inspiration for this entire video, and it is this one. It's like a tuned Air version of the Vapor Max, and this shoe represents to me a lot of what Nike does when they get something that's successful. So the upper here is obviously inspired by the tuned Air, but then you have the Vapor Max outsole, which I think is incredible and I think looks really, really dope. It wasn't as comfortable as I thought that it was going to be. I honestly thought it was going to be a lot softer and more cushioned when I first saw the shoe. It is a little more firm than I expected, but I still think that it looks incredible, and I'm really happy that Nike did it. So it has the Vapor Max bottom, but there's something about this also is it kind of has a little bit of an off-white feel happening right here on the side. I believe these are a Foot Locker exclusive and they're actually available now. But you see here, it says catching Air manufactured jump prep department 24/7 spring 20 flight pack. So this must be part of their flight pack, but it's interesting to me to see Nike pulling from like that off-white style print on the side of a shoe and putting it on an Air Max or a Vapor Max hybrid at that. It's just a very interesting look. It was just a really cool, interesting hybrid of a shoe, and it inspired this video.
I'm a brand new pair of shoes.
Keeping with Air Max, one of the most exciting Air Max days that I've experienced was when, I believe it was the second year of the Air Max day, when they released the Vapor Max. So the Vapor Max obviously was a game changer and represented something totally different than what we had seen before. They actually put them on Nike ID for a limited time, and that's where this version came from. I actually got this pair because I hosted an event for Nike for Air Max Day, and that's how I was able to secure this Nike ID pair. But you see, it has the green that they've been using for Air Max Day, and then it has the original color of the red and white. white that you see on the Air Max 1. And then finally, you have the 326, which is Air Max Day, allegedly, the day that the Air Max 1 was released back in 1987, on the tongue. And again, just a really comfortable shoe for the upper. I love Flyknit. I'm a big fan of Flyknit. I have the Flyknit Air Max 1, I have the Vapor Max Flyknit, I have Flyknit Jordan 1s, so I have Flyknit Air Force 1s. So all of those shoes just kind of fit into my wheelhouse just because I think they're so comfortable and I love the way that they fit. Now, the outsole, again, the Vapor Max, you do kind of have to wear it in to get used to it. It's not as soft as I think most people would expect. It's a little more firm than I think it should be, but at the end of the day, you wear them in and then you get used to it and it feels a little more comfortable. So yeah, definitely wanted to show you guys these just because I thought it's one of the cool sneakers, and I still wear these a lot, as you can tell from the bottom and how dirty that is, and also from how dirty the upper of the shoe is. I need to clean these is what I'm trying to tell you guys and what I'm trying to tell myself. But just wanted to show you these just because I thought it was a really dope version of the Air Max and shows the evolution of where the shoe is going. A lot of these shoes are newer in the Air Max spectrum. I have some of the older ones, but I really wanted to focus on the ones that I actually wear a lot or that have a really special memory for me. And one of the newer ones that I like and that I was really into is this shoe. I don't think anyone knew that the world and the sneaker world would embrace the Air Max 270 the way that they did. But one that really stuck out to me is the React 270, which has React in the forefoot, and then it has the Air Max in the heel unit. Now, a lot of times Nike does stuff like this where they'll combine two different technologies and put them in the shoe. And oftentimes it doesn't result in something that people are really into or something that people really like. However, with the 270 React, I think that momentum has sort of changed. People are seemingly a lot more excited about the 270 React than they were about just the regular 270, and or that they're about React in general. The price point is a little high on these, and I think that's preventing some people from getting them. But I've had friends that aren't super into sneakers approach me specifically about this shoe when I wear it. And obviously this is one of the best colorways that they've done so far. This is the Bauhaus colorway that is really, really dope and really clean. But there are new colorways coming out all of the time, and I see more and more people, just like random people in the mall, rocking the React 270s. And I don't know if they know like the full story behind it, that React was created for running and that the 270 Air unit is like the first lifestyle Air unit that was made. And I don't know if they know that, but I do see them rocking this, and if they feel like it's a dope shoe, I think that's what's really important. So for me, I definitely added this to my list, the Air Max 270 React. So when I think back and I think about Air Max, you have to think of the way that the shoe was marketed by Nike, the way that it made people feel, and the confidence that it gave people. There isn't a measurable benefit to Air units inside of your shoes. They do make them feel different than they would if they didn't have it, but there hasn't been a scientifically proven measurable benefit. However, I think there was a confidence that Air Max gave people because people liked the way that the shoe looked. It made them feel good, and when you feel good, as Deion Sanders say, you play good. And I think Nike putting Air Max in shoes and having the Air unit visible, it made people feel like they had this insight and they could see the technology that was going to make them better. So they had us thinking that this Air Max could make us better and that it could make us faster or jump higher or all of these different things. But in reality, it was really all for show. It looks great and it felt great, and I think it changed the way we looked at sneakers forever, and it continues to change the way we look at sneakers. And I love Air Max sneakers as a result of it, but it's really interesting to think that how that marketing can get inside of our heads and change the way we look at something or to change the way that we feel about something. So just something to take note of when it comes to thinking about the things that you intake and everything that you listen to, that it may not necessarily always help you, but as long as it makes you feel good and feel like you're doing better and encourage and push you to do better, together, maybe that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Anyway, so just want to give you guys a quick look at some of the Air Max in my collection. I hope you enjoy. As always, make sure you like, favorite, and subscribe, but that's only if you want to. All right, guys, I'm Jacques, and I'll see you soon. Peace.